Good afternoon, members. It is the appointed time and we have a quorum. I call to order the meeting of the Subcommittee on Matters relating to the development of Smart City. Item 1 on the agenda, updates on the implementation of smart living initiatives. I welcome the government representations to join us. There will be a PowerPoint presentation. Members who would like to ask questions, please press the button. A kind reminder, after the meeting is concluded at 4 p.m., at 15 past 4, we will meet up and proceed to the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Center for a visit of the Smart Government Pavilion. A pass will be handed to you at the exit. Mr. Kenneth Lau. Okay, we welcome the Secretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry. This is the first time you are at our meeting, Professor Sun Dong. Will the professor first give us some opening remarks? Thank you, Chair. Members, good afternoon. Today, together with our colleagues from the Innovation, Technology and Industry, the Office of the Government's Chief Information Officer, the Efficiency Office, the AFCD, the CEDD, DSD, the Social Welfare Department, and the Hospital Authority. Today we will present to members on the update on the implementation of smart living initiatives. In September 2020, we have updated the smart city blueprints for Hong Kong 2.0 with more than 130 measures rolled out relating to smart living, smart village pilots, smart economy, and smart government, and also using innovative technologies to deal with the epidemic. There are also the smart village pilots to bring convenience to the life of villagers. Most programs are proceeding smoothly. Now, because of the time constraint, as suggested by the chairman, our presentation today will focus on smart living and also support to citizens in need, that is the elderly, underprivileged people and residents living in rural or remote areas, on how our measures have improved their quality of life. In terms of promoting digital inclusivity through different funding schemes, we have subsidized innovative technologies which will benefit citizens' life. Now, concerning care and residential units, we have offered them subsidies to procure I&T products to help the elderly people as well as the people with disabilities. The OGCIO has rolled out a series of programs to promote sharing technology to educate the elderly people on the usage of digital products. Now, one of the highlights in the Blueprints 2.0 is the inclusion of smart village pilots. We intend to install smart devices to assist to improve the quality of life of people living in rural areas. Now, previously, there was no Wi-Fi available in rural areas. Now, since last year, we have installed 70 Wi-Fi hotspots at villages, and also progressively extended to more than 100 villages. We thank the rural. We thank Hong Yi Kok and the rural committees, especially Mr. Kenneth Lau's support. Now, concerning tele-health services and also the early detection of hill fire technologies adopted by the FCD as well as the DSD's smart flood monitoring, there have been remarkable progress. Now, in terms of publicizing popular science, we have been promoting the benefits of science at primary schools and secondary schools, and also educate the public on what science can do for them. Now, through the IT Innovation Lab and secondary schools and the knowing more about IT and also other extracurricular activities, we strive to cultivate students' interest in INT at an early age. And also, we are conducting different competitions to educate students on the concept of smart city. We also thank different stakeholders for conducting their own efforts to popularize the science. That's my presentation. I would like to invite Deputy Government Chief Information Officer, Mr. Tony Wong from the OGCIO, to brief members on the update of the implementation of smart living initiatives. And then we will be happy to take your questions. Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Mr. Tony Wong, please. Thank you, Chair. I would like to report to members the progress of the implementation of smart living initiatives, as well as popularizing science education. On digital inclusion, we want to help elderly people improve their quality of life through digital inclusion. Now we have the INT Fund for Application in Elderly and Rehabilitation Care with $1 billion funding. Now these include the rehabilitation tools for stroke patients and also other high-end hardware. Now last year we have established the sharing technology platform. By bringing together different stakeholders in the public and private sector, we want to improve the availability of information to the users, and also we also provide testing of these products. And also we have several programs to bridge the digital gap, including enlisting young people to help elderly people to use digital products. Now we have the $1 billion INT Fund for Application in Elderly Rehabilitation Care to subsidize eligible units to procure or rent more than 11,000 items of technology products with a funding amount of $430 million. The scheme has been extended to self-financing residential care homes to help more people. Besides supporting elderly people in need, we also want elderly people to learn more about digital products. So in year 2014, we have rolled out the ICT outreach program for elderly people to visit elderly people in daycare center and at home, as well as hidden elderly. We conducted interesting activities, for example, VR, virtual tours, and also companion robots schemes for them. And in year 2019, we have conducted the Enriched ICT Training Program for the elderly to offer advanced digital training courses concerning the usage of government services like I Am Smart, Leave Home Safe, and other mobile apps, and also mobile payments and e-wallets. But besides the training courses, we also rolled out the Elderly IT Learning Portal so that elderly people can select the courses they are interested in according to their tech savviness. We have also been visiting the periphery of housing estates and other places and parks to set up mobile outreach stations, which teach elderly people to use mobile app. And we have also enlisted the help of students and other volunteers. Last year, we have rolled out the Elderly IT Stars Recognition Scheme, through which we want to encourage more elderly people to embrace digital life, to help enhance digital inclusivity. We have been supporting private companies to adopt accessibility criteria in web design. Now, the OGCIO would regularly assess the accessibility of different websites, and together with the Hong Kong Internet Registration Corporation Limited, we have been promoting the web accessibility recognition scheme to facilitate access for websites frequented by people with disabilities. Now, on Smart Village pilots, we have set up the interdepartmental working group to take forward different programs. We have been collaborating with the Heng Yikok to implement test programs. For example, telemedication program and so on.
哇，好犀利啊！估唔到咧，流浮山呢度比較偏遠。
Well, I never thought that we would have Wi-Fi hotspot at Lao Fao San. Do we have a hotspot at many village? We didn't have them, but after the smart village pilots, the government has been installing Wi-Fi hotspots at many villages. Now, this village office is the first place in the village where we have Wi-Fi hotspots. There will be 8 other villages which will be installed with the services. Now, with Wi-Fi connection, people in the village can enjoy Medicare services to for the health. Now, many rural villages lack access to medical facilities. Many elderly people have to travel a long way to seek medical consultation. Now, with a Wi-Fi connection, care services are available at many villages. Now, how do you expect smart technologies can improve the quality of life for villages? Now, we have robots monitoring hill fire. So whenever there is a small fire, the robots would alert the authority. Now, with smart lampposts, we can improve traffic congestion, and also recycling is also important. There will be the smart recycling program. Not just villages, visitors will also be benefited. Besides the previous programs, the CDD is also exploring the usage of innovation technologies in the Lantau. For example, using local programming techniques. We are trying to offer Wi-Fi services at remote hiking paths. And also, there is the smart closed road permit system, and also the real-time dump truck tracing system to trace and prevent illegal dumping of construction waste at ecologically sensitive areas. And also, there is the flood warning system. When the water level reaches a predetermined warning level, there will be warning alerts. And also, there are peer ancillary facilities. The DSD will also install real-time tracking device at flood-prone areas and for timely alleviation. And for other areas, we will continue to explore usage scenarios. Now, in terms of publication of popular science, we want to create a culture to embrace digital at different levels in society. We have the IT Innovation Lab in secondary school and the Knowing More About IT programs to cultivate students' interest in INT. And also the INT Commission will continue to organize the annual Innu Carnival to enhance students' interest and deepen public's understanding of our achievements. Now, the first City INT Grand Challenge was launched last year to encourage students to use INT to solve daily life problems. Starting August this year, the OGCIO will launch the quarterly Smart City Roving Exhibition across the territories to showcase the latest progress of individual initiatives so that members of the public can have a better understanding of the benefits. We will work with local organizations and support them to promote the relevant activities. We will strengthen our collaboration with local bodies through a wide range of activities. We want to encourage the public to embrace and use the digital smart technologies more widely. Now, the first exhibition was completed. The next exhibition will be held in November. The exhibition will be about smart city initiatives are closely related to people's lives. Thank you.
而家我就
Thank you. I will now open the floor to questions by members. 8 members in total, including myself, a total of 9 have raised their hands. Let me read out the order. Jimmy Ng, Chen Chiu-hong, Carmen Khan, Kenneth Lau, Andrew Lam, Johnny Ng, Perry Yu, and Wendy Hone. So if you would like to ask a question, please press the button. 4 minutes, including questions and answers. And if we have more time, we can have a second round. First, Mr. Jimmy Ng. Thank you, Madam Chair. We should popularize science education. We can nurture more INT talents to help build Hong Kong into an INT center. That's surely worthy of our support. Now, the Pepper mentioned about IT Innovation Lab in secondary schools and knowing about IT programs in secondary and primary schools. Well, each secondary school will be given $1 million and $400,000 respectively. I know the program will expire or will end within this year. Would you regularize this program, or would you be having new programs to replace this lab program? And also, would you be increasing the subsidy under the Knowing More About IT programs? Would you be aligning the amounts with the IT lab subsidy at $1 million? Now, the paper mentions that the government is striving to provide Wi-Fi services in remote and rural areas like the hiking trails in Lantau. Well, data is as important as air in these days and age, and this is something good and is worthy of our commendation. And then in 2021, the Wi-Fi penetration rate is 96.6% among households. Would the government plan to provide subsidy to those in need and the elderly so that the figure can be increased to 100%? Who to respond? Thank you, Mr. Ng, for your 2 questions. First is about the IT Innovation Lab in secondary schools and also the Knowing More About IT programs. Now, the program has been up and running for a period, and the results are very good. And 80% of secondary schools and 50% of primary schools have successfully applied for the program. In 2023, that is the next year, we hope to achieve a figure of 90%, i.e. 90% of primary and secondary schools will join the program. Now, for secondary school, the subsidy amount is $1 million, primary school $400,000. Now, Mr. Ng asked about the possibility of extending the program. Yes, it's possible. Some secondary and primary schools, and they may launch a second round of the programs after the first round. We're looking into that. But our focus is to finish the program, the first round program, as soon as possible. We would like to achieve a 90% rate for secondary schools. And then the coverage of network, especially for smart village pilots, we think that it's important that we should increase the coverage rate. And some 70 villages have been covered. And our target is to achieve 140 villages. And then the penetration rate is another indicator. We agree to your suggestion, and we'll see how we can come up with a specific plan to achieve this 100% coverage target. Next one, Mr. Chen Xiu-hong. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to see that the government has been actively leveraging on INT to enhance the quality of living of people in Hong Kong. Now, on this subject matter, smart living initiatives, I would like to ask a question about effectiveness. The paper lists a number of smart living initiatives. For example, since 2014, there is this ICT outreach program for the elderly. And up to August this year, 21,000 people have benefited. And in 2019, Enriched ICT program for the elderly was launched. And it says that there have been 1 million hits. And then you said that free Wi-Fi services also provided at village premises. Well, from the figures, it seems that the government has done something. But in fact, we should not just focus on the quantity, but also the quality of the initiatives or the services. Now, in helping the elderly to use INT products, how does the government define the beneficiaries of elderly? Does it mean that, well, as long as an elderly person has learned how to use Live Home Safe, he has already benefited from the program? And also for the elderly IT learning portal, if you just look at the hits and the number of visits, I don't think that's very meaningful. Has the government assessed whether actually elderly have actually learned and found the service useful? How many of them have already benefited? And then the government has provided 45,000 Wi-Fi hotspots around the territory. What is the satisfaction level? And the government has spent $220 million on these two programs in primary and secondary schools. How effective are they? Well, don't think that you have achieved your target just by really launching the program. You have to gauge their effectiveness. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Chan, for your very neutral remarks, very fair comments. Now, in digital inclusion initiatives, we put focus on both quality and quantity. Now, first, we must really increase the quantity. Mr. Chen referred a number of services for the elderly. You may notice that in the past few years, we have launched the ICT outreach program for the elderly and also the training programs of the elderly. Now, for the ICT outreach program, well, the fifth round was launched in March last year, and for the fourth round, the number of beneficiaries is 7,500. And the fourth round, from this year to next year, the beneficiary expected is 11,000. So the number has increased. And for the quality, we are now hiring more trainings and instructors. We have brought in a number of instructors already. Now, as for the training program for the elderly, well, for this round, it's 2,700 elderly participated. The last round is 2,600. Now, because of the epidemic and social distancing measures, increase was not as big as expected. But anyway, there has been an increase in the number. Now, as for the ratio of elderly using Wi-Fi is 70%. Well, the target for next year is 75%. So we would like first to achieve the set and targets. Now, as for the quality, how to boost the quality, we hope that the government can work together with community bodies. As for the IT programs in secondary and primary schools, this is the first time we're trying out these programs. We are now reviewing the program. We hope that the primary and secondary schools can cooperate with us in terms of hiring the right teachers, designing the programs, and so on. So on our side, we would like to provide as much as support as possible. And Tony, my colleague, would like to supplement. Well, please be brief. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Chan, for your suggestion. When we launched other programs like the programs for the secondary and primary schools and also Wi-Fi spots in urban areas, we would like to gauge feedback from Hong Kong people. So on a regular basis, we are collecting feedback. And for, say, activities in primary and secondary schools, after an event has been completed, we will ask schools to conduct a survey to gather feedback from teachers and parents. Well, for all the activities, well, over 70 or 80% have given us very positive feedback. And the vast majority of the students said that they have learned something and their interest has been enhanced. So these two programs are aimed at arousing the interest of students so that when students have to make choices for job subjects in the future, they can choose more INT subjects. Now, as for Wi-Fi, every year we will conduct a users survey. And in the past few years, the feedback from the surveys has been very positive in terms of the speed and the level of satisfaction with the usage. So 80% or so of the respondents said that they are very satisfied with the service. We'll continue to expand the service. We'll try to guarantee the quality of the services. Next one, Ms. Carmen Khan. After the last meeting on the 12th of July, I have written to the chair, who has relayed my letter to the administration. I have made some suggestions on how the government should report to us on the progress of works, because at this subcommittee we're looking at the overall development of the various smart city initiatives, what kind of problems that we would like to resolve, what are the measures, what is the timetable, and what is the effectiveness. And I'm grateful for the administration for writing back to me, and they have incorporated our views, and they will try to report to us in a format that we suggested. Why should I be mentioning this? Because the administration's reply is that there are dedicated subcommittees which are looking at different social issues. For example, transport panel is also looking at some IT issues as well. Well, I see eye to eye with Mr. Chan Siu-hong. So I think the subcommittee should look at macro issues, the overall effectiveness. And you should be looking at your results as compared to the original objective as set out in the SMART blueprint. So there should be effective assessment of effectiveness and what are your future plans. Because for specific measures, they will be discussed and reported at some other policy panels. So I hope that the government can actually report more on effectiveness. For example, say satisfaction level. If you look at the low number for IM Smart, there is also a score on satisfaction level. There is a score of 1.4, 1.8. Are we happy with such a satisfaction level? Does it really represent the views of the people of Hong Kong? Well, the administration said it is very concerned about people's feedback. And also, for, say, remote villages, how they are being served by internet and Wi-Fi services. So would you consider, say, in the future, if you want to increase the coverage of Wi-Fi in rural villages, can you, say, ask the telecom operators to work on an additional site in addition to the site that they applied for so that we can increase the coverage ratio? Of course, we have to strike a balance between effective government and also a free market. And also for telehealth services in remote areas, can we expand the coverage of telehealth services to not just remote areas? Because a lot of elderly are in need of such services, so we can make forward planning like those. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, and also Mr. Ms. Khan, for your suggestion. We would consider how we should more effectively assess the effectiveness of our program. We now rely much on the surveys and also feedback from individuals. We would consider that more. So is there any room for us to revise or improve our feedback mechanism? Or can we also set a couple more indicators to assess our effectiveness? And then you also raised some other suggestions, for example, the Wi-Fi service coverage in remote areas, HA services, and also government procurement arrangements and so on. For example, in remote villages, we have over 700 villages, and next year we will be able to cover 140 villages. So we should be looking at how to expedite extending the coverage to 100%. So maybe later on we can follow up on that. Next one, Mr. Kenneth Lau.
Chair, the government has delivered the Smart City 2.0 blueprints and also rolled out the Smart Village pilots with a view to improving the living quality of villagers and people living in remote areas. Free Wi-Fi services are available at village office, and also telehealth services are available for elderly people in rural villages. I am in full support of these efforts. I hope the government can continue to communicate with the rural committees so as to develop the hardwares and softwares in villages. Now, in terms of laying of optic fibers and also the hardware infrastructure in villages, the progress has been slow, and also there are still villages not covered with telecommunication signals. Villages that can't even get a telephone, mobile telephone signal, not to mention Wi-Fi. So the smart village pilots have helped 100 villages. Well, I think the laying of optical fibers in village houses is also very important. So for the next phase of the Smart Village Pilots program, can you make it more effective by doing that? Secretary? Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Lau, for your suggestion. So in our previous discussion during the policy address debate, there have been sufficient discussion on how to enhance the coverage of optical fibers in villages. So I hope the member can wait a few more days until the delivery of the policy address. I believe that there will be a satisfying answer for you. We understand that infrastructure development in rural areas is very important. So we will address the problem from the root cause. I think we share the same vision. Next, Mr. Andrew Lam. Thank you, Chair. So today we are honored with the presence of Professor Shen Dong and his team and other departments. This is very good. So my question is on the promotion and implementation of smart city development. Who is taking the lead? So let me give you an example. I'm happy to see in the report that the government is studying the use of smart technologies to identify whether cars in Lantau have a closed area permit. The government is still studying it. I put forward the idea when I was in the Lantau Advisory Council back in 2014, and 8 years in time, the government is still studying it. So was the program led by the Development Bureau and then implemented by the ITIB, or should it be the case that the Innovation, Technology and Industry Bureau take the lead and coordinate the efforts among different bureaus and departments on development and implementation of smart technologies? Another example. I'm also pleased to see a lot of effort on improving the technology usage for elderly people, including the outreach services. Now, in year 2021, there were 1.45 million of elderly people. More than 60% of them are living in the Bay Area on a long-term basis. So on a policy level, would you extend the outreach service to elderly people living outside Hong Kong? In Shenzhen, in year 2020, there were already programs helping elderly people to embrace digital technology. So is the policy set by the Labour and Welfare Bureau or the ITIB? Thank you. Secretary. Thank you, Chair, and I also thank Mr. Lam for his questions. So the HASAR government is one team. We are working closely together. In terms of smart city, on a general level, the ITIB is taking a leading role. In terms of other policy areas like a tunnel and roads and so on, the Development Bureau and the Transport Department would take a more responsibility. For telehealth services, the HA and the Department of Health would be taking a more significant role. In terms of extending the scope of service to outside Hong Kong, we are currently discussing the matter with the Guangdong provincial government. If there is a mutual understanding, then we can implement some 40 measures in the GBA area. And on the other hand, the provincial governments will also be able to offer some 40 services in Hong Kong. These are all under discussion. We hope that there will be updates in the near future. Now, may I invite my colleagues from the CDD to take the other question. Yes, thank you, Chair. Concerning Mr. Lam's question on the closed road permits and monitoring cameras in Lantau, there have been some progress. By the end of last year, we have started the study on the legal basis of the service. And also, we have been implementing pilot services in the area. As we speak, we are procuring the relevant equipment. By next year, there will be on-site trials. And then we would hand the system over to the police departments for surveillance and also on the follow-up matters. Thank you. Mr. Perry, Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you. I have two questions for the Secretary. In terms of popular science, Mr. Chen Shihong also asked about the two programs. That is the IT Innovation Lab in secondary schools and the knowing more about IT programs. They are very popular. So how can we help secondary and primary schools students to enhance their innovation capacity? How can we quantify the results? Well, I believe some programs have been put on hold and they are localized in Hong Kong, in the Hong Kong context because of the epidemic in the past 3 years. After the epidemic, can we extend the programs to more areas like the GBA, the country, and other Asian countries? In terms of digital inclusivity, I recognize the government's efforts to promote digital know-how among elderly people. Nowadays, elderly people are very tech-savvy. They can use mobile phones to communicate with their loved ones and also watch video clips. Well, sometimes elderly people told us that they didn't know the vouchers and so on that they can enjoy. Well, in fact, they could have found these information via mobile app. So I think the government can help the elderly people in this regard, and also in terms of rehabilitation technologies. Many elderly people want to use smart technologies to improve their health. There are elderly people who are not very mobile. In Hong Kong, there are universities developing similar technologies, and it is already very sophisticated in other places. So I hope that the ITIB can take the lead and coordinate the government's efforts in helping the elderly people. Secretary. Thank you, Chair. I would like to invite the Deputy Government Chief Information Officer to take the first two questions and then the SWD. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Member, for your suggestions. Concerning the two programs to promote students' participation in innovation, after the programs, we would do a survey to gauge the efficacy of the programs. And also there are competitive elements in the programs. Students would be encouraged to take part in competition after completing the courses. So in competitions held by the government and other organizations, we have seen a much higher participation rate from secondary students. So it shows that the students are very interested in INT, and they are eager to employ their skills through competition, and they are also very eager to share the results of their innovative efforts. And there are also inter-school INT exhibitions involving schools in the same district. This is a good platform for students to showcase their learning results with other schools. So we do offer support to schools in their efforts. The point is we want to pique students' interest in INT. The industry told us that they would like to see more students enrolling in STEM subjects. This is also a good indicator of our program's success. About extending collaboration with other places. Under our programs, schools can make use of our subsidies to participate in overseas competitions. Now, with the easing of the epidemic, we hope that there will be more collaboration. The OGCIO would sponsor local awardees to participate in national and overseas competitions. There have been very good results in the past. So when the epidemic eases, we will put more efforts in this. Ms. Ip from the SWD. Now in year 2018, $1 billion was allocated to the Innovation and Technology Fund for application in elderly and rehabilitation care. So we have been collaborating with the private sector and researchers to develop technologies for elderly people. We have a maximum $5 million additional subsidy available for application each year. Mr. Perry Yu, Chair, now it is autumn now. It is a good season for hiking. Our hiking trails are very attractive with good scenery, which is very popular among local visitors and foreign visitors. Now, recently, the Hong Kong Masters champion, Mr. O'Sullivan, also visited our hiking trails. This is a very good advertisement for us. Now, we have lots of hiking trails in our rural areas. So the point is we have to make sure that there is telecommunication coverage. I know the government has been making a lot of efforts in terms of laying optical fibers for internet access in rural villages. Of course, it is very important. Wi-Fi hotspots are also very useful. However, the government should also enhance telecommunication coverage for hiking trails. Hikers may need mobile communication services more than Wi-Fi services.
I have done some work in the past. Some mobile telecommunications providers told us that they are willing to install more radio bases and increase the coverage. But because of, say, government red tape, they can't do much, even though they would like to commit the money, the funding. So in terms of your policy, have you asked the telecom operators to achieve a certain coverage ratio in remote areas? And for blind spots, have you conducted a study into blind spots? For popular hiking trails, many of them don't come with a mobile network coverage. This is what the government, Hong Kong people need, and you should do something on it. You said that you would provide some Wi-Fi spots along the Tung Chung Tai U hiking trail. I think I should commend you for that, but I would rather see more mobile network coverage. Thank you, Mr. Yu, for your very good suggestion. You are right in pointing out that for smart village pilots, we are focusing on connecting rural villages by optical fiber network. We hope that the 700 villages can be covered. Now, you mentioned about the telecommunications policy in relation to hiking trails. We would liaise with the CEDB, and maybe next time we can put forth a feasible plan for your consideration. For our policy area, we really haven't looked into it. Now, that falls under the ambit of the CEDB. Well, we have noted your view. Ms. Wendy Ho, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Thank you for your very honest answers to many of the questions raised by members. You haven't dodged the questions. I have two specific questions. For those the elderly living in remote villages, whether the telehealth services will be provided to them. Apart from Lantau and Yuen Long mentioned in the paper, would you be expanding a service to cover other areas, including those living in RCHEs, so people don't have to travel to the hospital for visit, and then it can provide convenience to the elderly, and also the burden on the clinics can be lessened. And then the elderly also need drug delivery services. How are you going to tackle that? Second question, we need new infrastructure for building smart city. A lot of AI systems will be deployed in public services and so on. We have a strong demand for AI computing center in the city. Will the government take the lead in building a AI business center to meet the business needs? And that center can support public government departments, higher education institutions, and also the business sector. And then for the we need also to build a digital economy center, and all these entail the building of an AI business center. Do you have a plan to build such a center? Thank you, Ms. Hong, for your two questions. First is about telehealth services. Now, I will ask the extra colleague to elaborate. And then you talk about the RCHEs and also drug delivery service. In fact, we are liaising closely with the LDWB and how we should build and do more in building a smart RCHE in Hong Kong. And one of the important points is that we should leverage on new technologies to enhance our drug delivery service and cut down on waste. We are actually working on that. We are inviting local companies to work with us, and a more detailed report will be made in the future. Now, about new infrastructure that is related to the AI and data industries. We have already a very good data center. But then the capacity of the data center has still a lot to catch up. So we're still discussing that and whether there is a need for us to build our own AI computing center. We are still listening to views. Can I ask the HA colleague to respond to the question on telehealth services? Mr. Hui. Thank you, member, for your question. Let me talk about the development of telehealth services at the HA. First, last year, April 2021, at our special outpatient clinics, we already launched a pilot scheme. And later on, we are working closely with the OGCIO in providing such services in providing the services in Chengzhou and Tai'ou. Well, up to the end of August, we have already carried out 18,000 telehealth consultations, covering all SOPC sessions and also sessions in designated clinics. In early October, we have already provided 64,000 telehealth consultations, and among them, 2,500 patients living in remote areas. Going forward, we will work closely with the OGCIO to provide telehealth services using Wi-Fi service to provide to cater for the needs of the villages. It's my turn now. Many members have referred to the effectiveness and also the quality of the services. Well, the services listed in the paper are very good and they should be worked on. The question is, how can we enhance the effectiveness? How can we expand the coverage so that all people in Hong Kong can benefit from your smart living initiatives? If we are to achieve that, I hope that the government can, in the papers to be submitted in the future, let us know how you assess the effectiveness of your measures. A lot of members have asked about how you evaluate your services, and I think that is crucial. Now, we have a number of very good programs in secondary and primary schools. In the last electoral term, we're already showing our support to those. Now, the question is not how to assess whether you can actually enhance students' interest in INT and that they would like to opt for INT-related subjects, but rather we should be looking also at the digital divide among schools. Why aren't some schools not participating? What is the reason for a school not to take part in such government funding programs? Why are they not interested at all? And for schools, if there are just a few hundred of them, what about the other few hundred schools? Students in these schools will not have any opportunity to participate in such activities. So there will be a digital divide between these two groups of schools. So how can you narrow or close that divide? And then for elderly, I've been following up on the digital divide for elderly for some 20 years. And for the district work that we have been doing, a lot of legislators are new here. And then you will know that whenever there is an app online applications are allowed, while our legislator's office will receive a lot of inquiries. Now, the government has been launching a number of programs to help elderly to enjoy the benefits of smart living. But then whenever their online application is allowed, well, the elderly find it too difficult and they will call us for help. So it means that a lot of elderly don't know how to use such online applications. Now, why those elderly who don't know how to use such online application methods do not know how to use them? Why is it that they are not participating in training programs offered by the government? So you have to understand the reasons for all these. So that's number one. I will save my second question for the next round. Thank you, Ms. Kwok, for your question. You refer to the IT programs in primary and secondary schools. Well, after the first round, actually, we hope to cover 90% in the first round of our program. Why? Schools not participating, there are many reasons. For example, they may not be aware of it. They are not motivated to do it. We would like to step up our publicity. And then for effectiveness, well, we can look at a number of factors, the number of schools participating. In the first round, we hope that at least 90% are participating. And then what about the nature of the extracurricular activities they are holding, how they are spending the money, and the number of students participating in such activities? All such information has to be reported to us. Now, based on such feedback, we would see how in the second round we can adopt a more targeted approach and make improvements so that there would be these programs will prove more effective. Well, all we want to know is that how you can improve. Well, we would like to know the challenges you are facing. Maybe we can work together with you to see how we can overcome those challenges so that the discussion in the legislature can be more fruitful. Mr. Kennedy Wong, or Dr. Kennedy Wong, a number of government officials and the secretary here, this goes to show that the government attaches importance to smart city development and smart living initiatives. Now, the secretary, you're a renowned scientist and you have joined the government. So can the government take more long-term view, especially in the use of technologies? We don't need to know a lot about technologies, but in the media, we see that there are some low orbit satellites. The Ukraine is using such satellites, and they are using this group of low orbit satellites and combine these with wireless network communication. And very soon, there will be a batch of mobile phones which can be connected directly to the satellite platform, and a lot more services can be provided. Now, in this paper, we are still talking about how to provide Wi-Fi services to villages and also enhance the signals capability in country parks and so on. Can you actually take a more high-level view or perspective in the use of technology so that we can set ourselves as a role model? We should not be just catching up. Thank you. Mr. Wong or Dr. Wong, for your very challenging question. We are making all sorts of plans. You talk about the wireless system, the satellite system. Well, for the Beidou satellite in China, it covers most parts of China except Taiwan and Hong Kong. And we are looking to consider whether we can strive for the Beidou satellite to cover Hong Kong as well. We have 15 reception points. We are using US and the Russia and Europe satellites, but we are not covered by our nation's Beidou satellite. So can we install the relevant system as soon as possible to provide an extra option to Hong Kong people? Well, all these systems can coexist. So the users in Hong Kong can use the Beidou satellite system on top of the 3 systems that we are now using. We are working on all these, and at the appropriate time in the future, we would make an announcement to the public and make a report to the Legislative Council.
So,
Secretary, in developing such a network, I hope that there can be closer connection with the mainland. I understand that the Secretary has a very close connection with the mainland authority. So I hope that there can be swifter alignments between the services across the border, so that elderly people and also can enjoy the services after crossing the river. Thank you. Mr. Lai Tong-kwok. Well, recently I have just made use of the I'm Smart to renew my driving license. The experience was superb. It is really convenient. Still, there was a problem. After downloading the I'm Smart, you need the digital signature to gain access to government services online. So there is an obstacle. Many people don't know how to apply for the digital signature. So from my own experience, my takeaway is that the government has spent a lot of money and effort on developing the program, but that's it. There is a lack of continuous publicity. And also, people are concerned whether the government is updating and improving the app regularly. So this is something that I want to bring to the OGCIO's attention. To build a smart city, we have to make our services user-friendly. Second, we have to conduct publicity campaign regularly to encourage the people to use it. Otherwise, it is pointless. Now, another example, the Leave Home Safe app has just added the function to use the testing code. You simply have to show the testing code when you go to a testing center. Well, none of my friends know about this additional function. Well, I know there has been a press release about the new function, but it seems that the press release didn't serve its purpose. So while investing in smart city technologies, we can't forget that to make it a success, you have to make it accessible and user-friendly to the public. We have to tell the people that they don't have to join the long queue at the transport department. Only then can you elevate our smart city to the next level. Another question. Now, under the INT fund, there is $1 billion dedicated to elderly and rehabilitation care. It is very good, but I have another suggestion. Now, for elderly people living in care homes, when they are indisposed, the most convenient way for the care homes to deal with it is to take them to the A&ED to see a doctor. They have to wait a long time to see a doctor and then wait for the medications, and then they have to be driven back. So it is a very heavy burden for the public healthcare system. So recently, the HA has rolled out telehealthcare services. So I wonder if you can consider discussing the matter with care homes in Hong Kong. First, government subsidized care homes, and then extending the reach to private care homes. There should be a one-stop platform, an app, so that whenever elderly people in care homes are feeling unwell, the nurses can make use of the app and arrange for teleconsultation service for the elderly people before they are taken to the hospital. Well, with this application, we can alleviate the pressure on our frontline healthcare staff, as well as the pressure on healthcare staff in care homes, because it would cost them a lot of energy if they have to accompany the elderly people to the hospitals. So if we can identify successful application scenarios, we can further extend the usage and come up with a comprehensive program to alleviate the difficulties of care homes. A brief reply, please, Secretary. Thank you. So with so many apps, how are we popularizing them among the users? So I heard the members' suggestion loud and clear. So you said the app is not user-friendly enough, and people have to scan their ID card because there are anti-counterfeit features. You need to scan the ID card from multiple angles. It carries a lot of personal information. We have to ensure that the digital signature is foolproof. These are necessary, but we are trying to improve the arrangements. On the premises of safety and security, we want to make the application and registration process easier. Same goes for Leave Home Safe. So all the time, all along, we have been improving the apps in our arsenal. So we have been listening to the users on how to improve them. So the positive feedback is a positive drive for us to further improve our applications. In terms of the care home situation, I totally agree with Mr. Lai. I have discussed the matter on numerous occasions with the Secretary for Labour and Welfare. So may I invite the colleague from the SWD to give a reply. Well, maybe the HA colleagues can also supplement on this. We are maintaining a close liaison with care homes and HA. We have outreach services to residential care homes to offer follow-up services and also medication review for elderly people. So under the INT Fund for Elderly People and Rehabilitation Care, there are programs of tele-healthcare and so on to facilitate healthcare. Mr. Tony Chair. Well, to develop Hong Kong into a smart city and also let people enjoy the benefits of smart city, this is something that we are all looking forward to. From the paper, well, I can see that in terms of promoting digital inclusiveness, like Mr. Lai Tong Kwok said, we don't really feel the smartness of the entire program. I don't think the government has succeeded in doing that. Well, for example, digital inclusivity, it seems that it is always up to the NGOs and the funds to drive the campaign. The government is in a passive role. So only recently did we have the pilot programs. So I hope the Secretary should be more active in promoting digital inclusivity. Now, Hong Kong's aging population, Hong Kong has an ever-aging population. So you can enlist the help from a district health center and hospitals to promote the usage of digital technology. Second, on initiatives under study, for example, the CEDD's study on using smart technologies to identify vehicles without a closed area permit in Lantau. Well, the program hasn't come to be yet. It is still under study. So we think it is too slow. We know you are doing something, but we want to see the result. So another matter that I would like to bring to the Secretary's attention about using the Internet of Things technology to enhance flood monitoring. That's a good measure. However, at some remote villages, they don't have fresh water supply. So flooding is a problem, but drought is also a problem. So would you also install a drought monitor for those villages when the water level reduced to a certain level? You should deliver fresh water to them. We have seen such cases recently. Those villagers do not have access to fresh water. So I hope the Secretary can pay attention to that. Secretary, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for your genuine comments. So in terms of digital public services, we have faced lots of challenges. The major obstacle to digital inclusivity is to help elderly people embrace digital technologies. So to a large extent, we are relying on the help of our local bodies. So I would like to make use of this opportunity to thank the local organizations. Without the help from the community, we can never get there. So concerning the way forward, the important thing is attach more importance to popular science. That is, enhance the digital capability of the entire population, including elderly people. We have to enhance the collaboration with our local partners. We have to harness the help to promote digital savviness in Hong Kong. So in terms of flooding, I would like to defer to our colleagues in the DSD. Thank you, Chair. So the member's concern is noted. The sensors are for monitoring the discharge situation of water rather than the supply of fresh water. So we need to study the suggestion further. Concerning a supply of fresh water, maybe we can communicate with the water supplies department. Chair, sometimes the livelihood services involve different departments and bureaus. I wonder if there is a team under the ITIB to look at all those services close to people's livelihood. Any reply? Tony? Yes, concerning application of technologies to address livelihood issues by different departments, we have been very active. We have established an innovative lab, a smart government innovative lab. The lab's purpose is to coordinate governments and the sector's efforts to identify new concepts and conduct workshops and implement trial schemes to trial use innovative solutions. So the lab will not go through formal procurement channels, but rather they would reach out to SMEs for collaboration and also put forward government's requests to them. So since 2019, there have been lots of programs implemented.
On a regular basis, we are also liaising with the relevant departments and the sector and host seminars. And every quarter, seminars are held. So we would like to put in more pilot projects. And once we gather enough experience and confidence, then the departments concerned will have greater confidence in actually implementing the various measures. Let me supplement. While technology, when we involves a number of aspects, it's difficult for one bureau to take up or lead all the work. For the current term government, we have enhanced collaboration among different bureaus and departments. Look at the team we are here. We have representatives from different bureaus and departments. Through enhanced collaboration among bureaus and departments in the government, we would like to take the development of the smart city to a new level. Mr. Dennis Lang, we are discussing building a smart city here. I hope that we can spend, say, 1/4 of our time in the future meetings to talk about recent developments and the 3/4 of our time to talk about future plans. I hope the government can talk about future plans more on how to build a smart city. For popularization of science education, ITIB is launching different programs in secondary schools and also help schools to acquire more hardware. If Hong Kong is to be developed into an IT center, we need to nurture talents. For DSE exam, only 0.69% of the students have taken physics, chemistry, and biology or STEM subjects. How will the ITIB cooperate with EDB to nurture more talent so that we can have a greater talent pool for the IT sector? So how would you plan for that? Second question. The government now has a lot of forms for us to fill in. We are talking about a smart city and a smart or e-government. Some departments like the transport department or Working Family and Student and Financial Agency are using a lot of online forms. They are even resorting to I Am Smart to identify the applicants. But a lot of government departments are now using paper forms, application forms. ITIB, when you ask the government to be turned into an e-government, what is your plan? Do you have a target, say by 1 year's time, how many forms used by government departments can be turned into online forms? And applicants will save a lot of time, and you can save a lot of time by turning everything online. And government efficiency, work efficiency can be enhanced. What is your plan on that front? In 2015, the Strategic Development Commission also floated a smart city plan, and that is the Development Bureau should be using a new form of mapping to plan for future new town development. We have the Northern Metropolis and Lantau tomorrow. So ITIB, how would you coordinate efforts in these initiatives so that you can actually enhance the quality, quantity, and speed of the development projects? And how can you make sure that people can get jobs in the new development areas? I hope that the government can provide more information to us in these regards. Again, CGISP. Thank you, Mr. Leung, for your 3 questions. First, you alluded to our collaboration with the EDB. How can we strengthen education? But today we focus on smart city. So we are focusing more on popular science. So that's why we mentioned these few programs. If we are to strengthen basic education, maybe we can have some other occasions to talk further to Mr. Leung. Now, second question about application forms. I am happy to report that the first task for the smart city blueprint is for us to build an e-government. Now, over 220 services of the government services are provided online. Now, in the government, 206. Our target is that 260 government services will be provided online, and we are also collaborating with the private sector. In 2 years' time, we aim to enhance both the quantity and quality of e-government services. Can I defer to Mr. Hong to talk about the geospace planning and all that? Thank you, Mr. Leung, for your question. To my understanding, the Development Bureau is actively taken for the CSTI infrastructure project, and that is Common Spatial Data Infrastructure. A lot of works departments are taking part. The next step is that this infrastructure will be opened up for access by the sector and people of Hong Kong. And there are a lot of data related to space in that infrastructure that can be shared. When CSDI continues to be developed, more data will be provided. And this is open for access by the sector and the public in general. Secretary, at the IT panel meeting last time, we talked about CTISP. The Development Bureau has not used that. Some colleagues told me that because there is CSDI, CSTI is an data analytic platform, but CSGTI is something different. Maybe after the meeting, I will ask the Development Bureau to give you a detailed explanation of the differences between the two systems. We are inquiring with the Development Bureau on the CGSISP. Mr. Lai referred to the Leave Home Safe app. There is a new function called it's a testing registration code. A lot of people don't know about it. Well, one of them is myself. This morning he showed it to me, and I found out, oh, is there such a thing? So it goes to show that the government has rolled out a number of tech applications which can bring benefit to Hong Kong people. But then it seems that public education lags behind. I know that the Bureau has plans to carry out popularization of science education at the community level. We are in full support of that. A lot of Hong Kong people's living habits have changed these days, and they would like to get more information online. So apart from working in the districts and communities, would you consider inviting KOLs to help you out to teach Hong Kong people and to promote popular science? Second is about Leave Home Safe again. At the antechamber exchange session and in subsequent meetings, we had exchanges with the Secretary and Mr. Wong. I talked about the use of Leave Home Safe after the epidemic. Now, no matter how functional or what good functions the app carries, the most important criterion is how many users are logging onto it. Whether you like Leave Home Safe or not, well, the government has committed a lot of resources into developing the app, and there are over 8 million downloads. A vast majority of Hong Kong people are using it and know how to use this app. So in the post-pandemic era, I was thinking about this. If we stop using this app, that would be regrettable if we abandon using it. I noticed that Duncan has also mentioned about using it to book venues. There is this new function, testing registration code. Well, you have already taken a half a step there. The concept is that people are willing to input information on a voluntary basis, and then through this code, you would enable the person to do something else, like booking the venue, as mentioned by Duncan. In Hong Kong recently, an issue of great concern or activity of great interest is Mr. Eason Chan's concert. People are very concerned about the real name registration mechanism. Well, actually, it exists in form only. It doesn't work. And Wing Yin also wrote an article criticizing heavily this system. Now, since we have the testing code here, so would you consider, say, using it for real name purchase of concerts and so on? And can you also consolidate the various APP of the government to facilitate Hong Kong people into using other different kinds of services? Secretary, thank you, Mr. Lee, for your very interesting and constructive suggestion about the testing code on Leave Home Safe app. That is mainly for medical purposes. When we do a PCR test, we have to fill in a lot of information, like your ID card number and so on. And you may spend a lot of time, and a lot of healthcare staff are involved. And this procedure is lengthy, and mistakes can easily be made. So we have developed this test code. Personal information has to be input. So it works like this. It's like putting your personal information onto the Leave Home Safe app. And then if you use that code, then you can actually go through the PCR testing in a few minutes' time. No privacy issue is concerned because the information is stored in your own mobile phone, which contains a lot of your other personal data, and the government doesn't store your own personal data. And if the data are to be used, the data would be matched with the data through the cloud computing platform by the healthcare staff. So I think it's very useful. You have made a very good suggestion on using KOLs to help us out. We should be more proactive in our publicity work. That I agree. Thank you. You mentioned about the use of Leave Home Safe after the pandemic is over. We have noted your very useful suggestions. The Leave Home Safe app aims mainly at fighting the epidemic, aims at helping the government to fight the epidemic in a precise manner. So currently, we are focusing our efforts to improve the functions of Leave Home Safe now. And based on the development of the epidemic, there might be some other functions to be put on the Leave Home Safe. The purpose is to really fight the epidemic in a precise manner. Like other members of the public, I would hope that we can do away with the use of Leave Home Safe app in the future. But as to how Leave Home Safe app can be better used after the epidemic, then we are all ears to your views. Now, we will be going on a visit at 4 p.m., so I would be allowing for a second round, each 2 minutes for members. Mr. Chen Xiu-hong.
Thank you, Chair. Developing and promoting smart city requires top-down design. The Blueprints 2.0 is the guiding paper for this, so I look forward to the formulation of a Blueprints 3.0. Technologies advance very quickly, so we can't afford to be lag behind. So I share the same vision with Ms. Carmen Kang and Mr. Dennis Leung. So we have to think about what we are trying to achieve rather than being updated on individual programs. The program's progress should be followed up by different panels. So I think this subcommittee should focus on offering advice and suggestions on the formulation of Blueprints 3.0. So today's topic is smart living. So I would like to ask the Secretary what kind of top-level or top-tier design we have in the blueprint to achieve smart living, and what programs are there to support smart living. Well, I would rather ask about this than being told about all the programs that you have, which have already been discussed. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Top-tier design and top-tier management is very important. Previously, we have identified different areas like smart mobility, smart environment, smart economy, smart government, and smart living, and so on. So for the way forward, we need to focus on each of these aspects. Today, we are focusing on smart living. So this is also the chair's upon the chair's request. So smart living is a very wide topic. So we are focusing on three subtopics. That is digital inclusivity. Under digital inclusivity, there are two work targets. That is to take care of the elderly people, and also achieving barrier-free online access or website access. Now, the other aspect under smart living is smart villages. There are very interesting programs like enhancing Wi-Fi coverage, flood monitoring, hill fire monitoring, peer facilities, and so on. The third aspect is popular science. It includes the IT resources allocated to schools and also our community work, including the outreach stations in the 18 districts. So these are all the programs under the smart living concept. Now, in year 2017, when we first promulgated the smart city blueprints, we had some 60 measures. In year 2020, at 2.0, we put forward 130 measures. In year 2023, we will explore the possibility of a Blueprint 3.0 subject to stakeholders' views. So we have different components, and under different modules that we would have implementation programs. That's the concept. So we would be happy to listen to members' views. Mr. Andrew Lam. So riding on Mr. Chen Xiu-hong's direction, we are all aware of the need in the future. So on the basis of the forward-looking approach, we need to review the advocacy of the programs. So for smart living and other modules, I hope that there will be a top-down or high-level review. So say, for example, the smart blueprint according to the website of the government on smart city management. It is about adopting the latest technology to enhance the management of government's logistic department. So one target is to to implement smart detectors to enhance construction site safety. And on the website, it says it is completed. Well, so do you think we have a very do you think our construction sites are very safe? Still, on the website, it says it is completed. So I think in reviewing the efficacy of the programs, there should be a top-tier effort. I hope that the ITIB can take the lead in leading other departments to implement the blueprint. Like Mr. Chen Xiuhong said, in terms of the overall design, there should be an ongoing review and improvement. So the two examples I quoted, the procurement plan of the government are not paperless at this stage. So I hope in the future there will be a more comprehensive review report. Secretary, thank you, Mr. Lam, for your views. We have heard you. After the policy address is delivered concerning smart city and smart government, we will enhance the collaboration between governments, including procurement and other projects. So you mentioned about management of site or site management. Maybe I can defer to the CEDD. Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Member, for your question. The CEDD and the Works Department have been promoting smart technologies application in construction sites context. For major infrastructure projects, we have been using AI and smart helmets to enhance safety and management on site. Thank you. So Mr. Ambrose Lam just pressed the button. You didn't get the first round, so I would extend the meeting for a little bit, but I can't give you 5 minutes. Can you finish within 2 or 3 minutes? Yes, thank you, Chair. Smart living is a very down-to-earth topic. It's about allowing members of the public to enjoy the benefits of smart technologies. Well, I have been in Qinghai for many years. I witnessed the transition from cash payments to contactless payment if you use a DD. I was reluctant to use the technology at first, but recently I went to the mainland. I needed to undergo quarantine for 10 days. So I downloaded the Alibaba app. That is the Alipay app. Once I touched down, so it really it was really convenient. So I think it is very good for elderly people as well. So 4 years ago, there were property developers which would give you a robot if you buy a flat. So the robot could deliver medications to you, meals, and so on. It can also play music. So this is very down-to-earth thing. So the government should not be alone in doing this. You should work with the private sector. Well, if you want to extend the Wi-Fi coverage, you need to work with the private telecommunication companies. So there should be more collaboration on how to improve smart living. I totally agree with Mr. Lam's points. So the government has announced the building of a smart city as one of the 4 major directions. So one key measure is to mobilize the private sector. The government has laid down the general direction. I've been told that many stakeholders in the business sector have started the work. They have been developing robots and AIs and so on. So this is the general direction, which is supported by the private sector. I'm sure that there will be a lot of research or results in the future. So this is how we are moving towards the goal of a smart city. Thank you. Ms. Carmen Can. Thank you, Chair. I thank the Chairman and other members for adopting a forward-looking approach for this subcommittee. So different terms of the government have different interpretation for what a smart city is. Now, the Secretary said that the government is one team. I totally agree with this mindset. We have to use information technologies to bridge the information gap. We want to facilitate convenience for the public and the business sector. So can we draw reference from other places to implement a digital licensing regime? Thank you, Ms. Carmen Can, for your brilliant points. As I said, we have to implement the one government mindset for this term of the government. We will act as a whole. So, smart government and digital licensing, we need to facilitate the availability of information. This is something that we are already working on. For administrative adjustments, we may not need legislative amendments. However, I do not rule out that some measures in the future would require legislative amendments. Currently, we are studying the issues with other departments. I hope that in the near future, we can have more discussion when we introduce the relevant bills into the Legislative Council. Thank you. So it's now my turn. So Chair and members, the purpose of this subcommittee is to monitor the progress of implementation of the Blueprints 2.0, and then we can offer views to the government for the formulation of a smart city Blueprint 3.0. That's why in the paper we have a lot of items of reports. So we also need to monitor the progress of different programs. So I welcome members' views on how we should formulate the Smart City Blueprint 3.0 in terms of smart living. That's our topic today. And also we welcome public comments from the general public and the business sector. So usually we would have 2 hours for discussion. It's a shame that we have to do the site visits. Otherwise, we can continue with the discussion today. So we want to review the progress and look ahead. So I hope the government can tell us the concepts as well as the obstacles that you are encountering. I think the key to smart living is that people have to feel the benefits brought about by technologies, especially when using government services. It has to be barrier-free and painless. So there are 3 major aspects under a smart city. We think there can be more aspects, for example, public engagements, because it is very important to get the government's message across. So how can we get people involved rather than just being users of government services. This is also very important. So to encourage public engagement, we have to educate the public on what smart city is. So in terms of popular science education for students and the general public, there should be education programs on the topic, on enhancing the public's involvement in developing a smart city, especially for young people, students, and also local bodies, and also the volunteer teams and caring teams in the 18 districts. Can we engage them in the development of a smart city?
I think the government should consider these aspects more. Earlier, I also said that territory-wide we should do more cleaning work. So people have been saying that would you be sustaining your efforts, or is this just a one-off exercise? So I have suggested that maybe you should set up a platform, an online platform, whereby people can actually give a score to the cleanliness of different streets. In fact, there are such online platforms overseas. So you engage the public in doing your work. So as a result, the cleanliness of streets has been raised from 60% to 80%. You should think out of the box. You should not treat these reports as complaints, but rather engaging the public to work together with you. The Secretary has also visited the Geospatial Lab. So should we allow more people to learn something there? And should we engage more people to help you develop more apps so that Hong Kong people can all chip in to help build the smart city in Hong Kong? So various bureaus and departments should think more about that. Just don't think that you should work on your own. Hong Kong people are more than happy to work together with you. Secretary, well, thank you very much for your valuable views. Your views have been noted. Thank you. So in view of the time constraint today, so meeting adjourned. And the vehicle will start off at 4:15. Well, can the Secretariat tell us more? It's Hall 1E entrance. Well, we'll meet you before 4:30 at Hall 1E entrance. We will visit the Smart Government Pavilion there. If you want to take our vehicle, the vehicle will depart here at 4:15. Thank you.